From being kicked out at 14 for bad grades to building a six-figure business. My journey of overcoming adversity. I am a 27-year-old boy, and my parents kicked me out of the house because I received poor grades. Yes, you heard that correctly. Despite having lived in the United States for 2 generations, my parents have learned little from American parenting techniques. They have become preoccupied with my school grades, believing that good marks are the only way to live a successful life. To make matters worse, my older sister has always been an excellent student, resulting in continuous comparisons at home and at school. Things were considerably better in elementary school. My sister finished with an A+ and topped her class, whereas I only received an A, which sparked my parents' dismay. In middle school, the comparison game started. Following each exam, my parents would compare my grades to those of my sister from the previous year. The more they compared, the lower my grades became. My grades plummeted from S to BS and CS, and my parents' rage increased with each drop. They attempted every type of punishment except physical torture. I was forced to kneel for hours without food or water, and I was starved the night before examinations to help me concentrate. A month before exams, they took away my video games, locked me up at home, and forbade me from going outdoors or eating any of my favorite meals. Whenever I requested something, they said, "Get good grades and you'll get it." I eventually stopped asking for anything. My parents own a modest grocery store and hail from economically disadvantaged backgrounds. My grandparents were immigrants who worked several jobs to make ends meet. My father had to leave school at a young age to support his family. My parents worked hard in their teens and 20s to save money and start the store. They believed that education was the only path out of poverty, despite the fact that we were not as impoverished as they claimed. It's the standard save for a rainy day attitude while hungry in the present. While I respect their efforts, they overdid it. They didn't realize that school grades weren't everything. Torturing me at such a young age was a recipe for disaster. I tried so hard to match my sister's grades, but I couldn't. I struggled at memorizing, unlike my sister, but I excelled at calculations. As their punishments became harsher, I grew more rebellious. I began skipping courses and adding jokes and song lyrics on my exam papers to irritate them. They grounded me, putting me in the basement with my books and not letting me go until I finished my lessons. I was not permitted to play outside on weekends or vacations, and my video games and comic books were taken. But I was a bright kid. When my parents went to work at the grocery store, I would sneak away and play for the entire day. When they learned I was sneaking away, they started taking me to the store on weekends and throughout summer vacations as punishment. However, this backfired, as I began to like it. I enjoyed talking with clients, assisting them in making product selections and managing the cash register. My folks were not delighted. They did not want me to run the grocery business. They wanted me to be a doctor or an engineer. Anything less was considered a dishonor to the family. One day, I casually said that I wanted to be a salesperson because I was good at closing deals. My folks were horrified. They believed that only ignorant people work in sales. Because they were spending so much money on my schooling, I was expected to pursue a respectable career, such as becoming a doctor or engineer. This tension persisted until I tested their limits by receiving a F in my freshman year of high school. My parents were devastated when they learned I would have to redo a year. They were finished with their customary punishments and reacted as if I had committed a crime. They had no choice but to hit me, but they refrained. Instead, they exposed me to severe verbal abuse and psychological suffering. They claimed I had brought dishonor on the family and could no longer live with them. They tossed me out of the house and commanded me not to return, even if I died from starvation or cold. I was devastated. Despite my rebellious inclination, I had never envisioned running away from home, and I was unprepared for this predicament. My parents didn't allow me to mingle much, so I had few friends to turn to for assistance. I was either confined at home or sent to the grocery store to help out. However, once my initial dread of living on the streets subsided, I experienced a startling sense of freedom. It was a huge relief to be able to accomplish what I wanted. My first night, I slept on a park bench. The next day, I headed downtown looking for a sales position. I knew I had an aptitude for selling, so I went from store to store, asking if there were any openings. After applying at over a dozen businesses, I got a position at a beauty shop. It wasn't simple, because I lacked qualifications and prior experience, but the owner required someone immediately. He challenged me to sell a costly lipstick as an on-the-spot product. I was impressed by my ability to sell makeup to young women and employed me. The salary was poor, but he did offer me a place to sleep. As my sales increased, I requested a commission on each sale, and it was the beginning of my path to become a successful businesswoman. Ironically, my parents thought forcing me to work at their grocery shop was punishment, but it actually provided me with valuable real-world experience that would benefit me later in life. I wish they had recognized my potential and understood that practical experience is far more valuable than memorizing academic material. Following that, I bounced about jobs in search of higher salary. One business even offered to cover my college expenses, but I declined. I had something else in mind. At the age of 21, I founded my own company, which offers support and sales services to other small enterprises. My company closes deals for other product-based businesses, generating cash in exchange for large fees. We sell a wide range of things, including credit cards, insurance, cosmetics, and books. It did not expand immediately. It took over 5 years to stabilize. I began with simply 5 staff working for a single client who sold mattresses and pillows. My organization now has 200 sales agents that assist over 50 companies in selling thousands of products. That's enough backstory. Here's the current issue. My mother has been monitoring me online. She recently began following me on Facebook and Instagram. My accounts are public, and she has been liking older posts and photos. I'm not sure if she's trying to draw attention to herself or if she's simply making mistakes while zooming in on my photographs. One thing is certain, they are fascinated by my lifestyle. They used to think I was a loser who couldn't do anything without decent marks, but today I earn 6 figures every month. My mother texted me a week ago, saying she missed me and wanted me to come home. I saw the message, but did not reply. She has been pouring me with compliments about how proud she is of my accomplishments. She's now bugging me to come over. Regardless of how much I disregard her messages, I can't stop thinking about them and my childhood trauma. Part of me wants to go home and brag about my success in front of them, to let them feel the embarrassment they caused me. However, my partner believes that I should avoid them and don't get caught in their emotional net. She believes they will eventually use guilt to extort money from me. What do you all think I should do? Update 1. Hello everyone, this is going to be hilarious. Despite my girlfriend's warnings not to meet my parents, a part of me wanted to brag about my accomplishment, so I went to their door. Dad wasn't home, but my mother and sister were waiting for me. Dad is still unaware of my achievement. He believes I'm generating money by scamming others and does not want to be affiliated with me. Mom apologized and said that I had to suffer because of Dad's old school notions that good grades were the key to life. It was funny how she made Dad the scapegoat, despite the fact that she was also complicit in abusing me. I pointed out that she was really stricter in punishing me, but she dismissed it, claiming she was simply following Dad's directions as a good wife. When I tried to hold her accountable, she smiled and claimed it was all in the past, and we should go on and reconnect as a happy family. I inquired about my sister's life. She informed me that she has a master's degree, but is having difficulty finding work as a teacher due to poor communication and social skills. Despite knowing the cause for her terrible people skills, I pretended to be intrigued and asked her why her high academics weren't helping her get a job. She blamed our parents, claiming that she had spent her entire childhood confined in a room, studying to impress them. She pushed herself to the limit and separated herself from everyone. I knew how lonely she was at school. She had few friends since Mom wouldn't let her mingle. Mom believed that white kids were terrible students and negative influences. Despite her hard work, my sister's lack of social skills is now limiting her professional situation. I'm pleased I rebelled, else I'd have ended up like her. My parents attempted to isolate me as well, but I resisted. My sister. Mom's terrible parenting. Mom began sobbing and for our horrible childhood. I asked her why she went on and on about how proud she was of my accomplishments, despite the fact that she had no idea what I did for a job. Asian parents define success as being a doctor, engineer, or having a high-paying position at a entrepreneurship. To them, running any business is the same as running a grocery store, which they despise. Sitting in that house reminded me of my upbringing when my parents, I'd wind up on the streets as a loser. They even misled me into believing I was mentally ill since I couldn't get A+ grades. Oh, and I failed to mention that they sent me to a therapist because they having trouble focusing on my academics. After 2 or 3 sessions, the therapist chastised much pressure on me, claiming I was a perfectly normal child. For my age, my girlfriend bet that me to ask for money. And Mom did not ask for any money this time. However, her behavior indicates that the request will arrive shortly. Since then, Mom has been continually checking in on me. That whenever she receives a text I've won every bet thus far because Mom. But I suspect I'll lose soon. Mom has invited me to dinner this weekend. I understand she's attempting to present a rosy picture before asking for things. I just got a text from her saying, "Me this weekend. I'll provide an update. Post. I have to rush immediately. Hello everyone. I got my sweet revenge on my folks. I don't think they'll ever call." In my last piece, I noted Mom's text. I said I was busy and couldn't make it. Yes, I was playing hard to get. Since she insisted, I questioned her why she was being so. Dad still suspected I was making money illegally. She stated that Dad was organizing the dinner as a way to make amends. She said Dad was proud of me. In person, I inquired, "What do you mean by organizing? It's only the four of us." She responded, "No, we're inviting all the close friends and relatives living nearby." I answered, "Sure." Pass up this opportunity to confront my Mom asked me to dress nicely and arrive on time. I arrived 2 hours late, dressed in my gym sweatshirt, trekking shorts, and cap. For an Asian parent, wearing shorts to a crime. Mom called me repeatedly, but I didn't answer. I just texted a couple of times. With no reason or explanation. I'm sure that annoyed my folks. Excellent hosts. When guests came to our house, my parents would spend 2 days cleaning every area, making a list of foods to offer its proper place. Guests would be served on our finest china, and if they stayed, they'd sleep on the softest sheets and pillows. Would argue that it to treat guests properly, but some of it was excessive for social acceptance. My parents had reserved seating on the restaurant's rooftop. When I came in such casual dress, I received quite a few stares, because I make more than everybody else there. Those looks were phony smiles of gratitude. Obviously upset. Raised a toast, singing my praises. This was the first time. Did not seem comforting. I felt resentful. The way they acted made me wonder whether I was the jerk for believing they. But they were imposters. The hall was crowded, and for a while, I pondered discreetly, eating dinner. They proceeded to tout my accomplishments as their own. I became outraged. They boasted about my accomplishments and lifestyle, taking full credit for molding me into a good person. My outspoken aunt then questioned, "Didn't you guys throw him out of the house?" I laughed and applauded. My parents were embarrassed, but they soon covered it up, saying it was a way to, and that their penalties were what I lost it when they stated. Replied to my poisonous parents, "Do you know what the best decision? I was kicked out of my house and forced to live on the streets." Yes, it is correct. You're so cocky today, stating you knew I'd be successful. It's funny because I recall another version. A homeless drug addict? Worse, a criminal? Family vacations as punishment for my grades? Up at home for a week with little food? You can find me in for hours without sufficient ventilation, and ordered that I finish my education there. Yeah. All of this was absolutely necessary to make me a better person. Perhaps everyone in this room. For their child to help them succeed. You see, this is the secret sauce of success. It was such a monologue. I would say that the bitterness and pain that had been building up inside me for years had finally erupted. My mother tried to intervene and resumed my rant. My sister tried to calm me down by caressing my arms, but I was beyond. And they would have rather in front of the entire village, but I was less concerned about their reputation. Standing next to me, my sister was crying as well. Some of you may ask why I have a sister since she has never stood up for me as an elder sibling. Well, she was the same age as me. My parents caused more harm to her than to me. At the very least, I was able to rebel, sneak out to play, and finally build a better life for myself. She, on the other hand, lost her spine by following. She never got to enjoy her childhood, and she now struggles with low confidence while I've offered her a position with my company, and she's even seminars. I offered she start working for me to gain some soft skills. A job for herself. As for my parents, I have severed all them. I warned mom not to contact me again. Just speaking to her to exact revenge for everything they had put me through. I've blocked her, but I plan to stay in touch with my sister. My sister patted me on the back for exposing our parents. The best vengeance I could have gotten. They don't care about money or anything else but in the neighborhood. Following the event, various family members and friends reached out to express their I told them I was not searching for pity. I just wanted people to recognize that academics is more harmful than beneficial. My sister and I. Poor parenting.